For everyone listening who doesn't really understand what an LLP is, what exactly is it?
Where you recognise people's contribution, you can share profits and work as self-employed partners. Over time, I can release more of my interest to the people that are going to make it happen, ultimately more than I will.
I mean, on a service level to the clients, something that I find it does is that even the clients who aren't in your column, you're treating as your client.
Yeah.
Because they sort of are.
As you know, we have a very low turnover of staff compared to the industry. It's the culture of the salon's very important to me.
Yeah. What was it exactly that allows someone to join the partnership?
So welcome back, Mitchell Scott, and we're going to be talking about partnership.
Thank you for having me again. So we have quite a unique way of working, a system of working,
yes.
Which is the LLP, the partnership. So where did that come from? Where did that idea come from? And what is it about the partnership that is good for people in our industry?
Well, I think if we take hairdressing as a profession, then most professions now will work in a partnership model. So it was always something that I thought we would like to do. And I came from working with John, and we were trying to establish partnership, and it just never got agreed. And so in a way, it made me even more so want to establish that model. But for various reasons, it's something quite difficult for hairdressers to get their head round if they're of a nature where they think they'll spend a couple of years here and go somewhere else for a couple of years and somewhere else for a couple of years, which is not really how we work anyway.
No.
You know, we see it as a long-term career. But what changed the model and made it more of an opportunity was the LLP status that came to prominence when a company collapsed in America, and all the partners around the world were exposed to claims under the joint liability. And this came about from a secretary having sent a memo out saying shred the documents. So I remember clients where, they were partners or their husbands were partners in, offices around the world. And it was like suddenly, they were liable to a class action lawsuit. So the idea of a LLP, limited liability partnership, which wasn't unique at that point because it had actually been started when a similar crisis in the banking system in America had happened about 20 years before, but it got dealt with and then it laid low again. And so they created this stronger corporate structure of LLP where you could operate as partners but without the liability. So if it all went tits up, as they say, you weren't then liable for the losses of everything else. So it massively reduced the risk if there were problems, and that's called limited liability partnership. So that was the beginning of me thinking, well, hang on a second, this now starts to work for the industry, hairdressers that don't want to have any risk. Now I can understand that. But suddenly there's a way now to do it whereby you eliminate that amount of risk and you can operate where there's a shared interest, where you recognise people's contribution, you can share profits and work as self-employed partners. So that's what we worked to develop. And at the time, this was 2005 or 6, I started working on it. Took a couple of years with our lawyers, our accountants. And at the time, they hadn't gone to LLP themselves. So by the time we finished this document, which took a couple of years, I remember the lawyer saying to me, that's actually a really good document you've got now. But they hadn't gone to LLP themselves yet. I think they went a couple of years later. Now you'd be hard pressed to find a professional firm that is not LLP. Lawyers, accountants, doctors, architects, they will all tend to work under an LLP structure. So, that's worked, I think, very well for us. We've had our issues with COVID, making the business, we closed for 10 months and we had to recover from that. But the concept of the LLP is still there, it's strong. And the idea is that it recognises people's contribution. The senior people that are making that contribution can share in the profits. And over time, I can release more of my interest to the people that are going to make it happen, ultimately more than I will. At the moment, I'm fully engaged, but that's not going to be forever.
Yeah, I think on a service level to the clients, something that I find it does is that even the clients who aren't in your column, you're treating as your client.
Yeah.
Because they sort of are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like whoever's sitting next to me, if they're sitting there for too long or they're looking like they're sort of in a rush or in need of something, then you sort of have this, I don't know, you feel this sort of need to ask them if they want help or can we do something
and that's
for you?
one of the key things to get people to think more about more than just about their own column, that it's a collective. Everything that goes on within the business, it needs to matter to them, and it does matter to them.
Yeah.
And so that's absolutely a key part of having the partnership, and it's also helped with stability as well. We have a very low turnover of staff compared to the industry.
Yeah.
Which is a huge positive when we know that development of career takes time. And you see yourself that, as each few years go by, you're in another level. You can look back and see that you've actually progressed so far.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go for, but it's that commitment for the long time where it really pays off year after year.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't work for us to have people in and out every 2 years because they just want to go and try something else where it doesn't really work for our industry, all that chopping and changing.
Yeah. I mean, all the partners have been there for years, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there's what is it now, Lou? 4 over 30 years. Yeah. And quite a few over 20 years now as well. And that's great because it makes it more like a family. We know each other better.
Yeah.
We know our strengths and weaknesses. And I think it helps with that commitment to the common goal of improving the business year after year, which, so far, that's sort of what has been happening.
So I started the partnership when I was 18.
Yeah.
So from memory, I can't remember whether it was just sort of like a financial figure that got me on the partnership, or what was it exactly that allows someone to join the partnership?
Yeah, I think it is to do with the finances as well. They get to a certain level where you feel that they've attained a certain level, and you feel confident that that's going to continue. And you want to bring them into the inner circle as such.
Is there a risk of sort of bringing someone in that, I don't know, hasn't quite hit a level, or you have a feeling, aren't fully committed?
I wouldn't.
No.
I mean, they'd have to, hit certain milestones.
Fine.
And we'd all have to feel comfortable that we want to work with this person.
Right. Okay.
As you know, the way the salon has developed, we won't bring someone in just because they take a lot of money.
No.
If they don't gel with the team, that's more important. If someone's the right sort of person, we can get them to take money. We don't need someone just to bring clients if they're not the sort of person we want to work with.
Yeah.
It's the culture of the salon's very important to me.
Yeah, it's super important.
Yeah, really important. We want to enjoy our working space.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. Well, it makes it more fun.
have fun and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it's enjoying it and making money has to go together.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just about making money.
No. For everyone listening who doesn't really understand what an LLP is, what exactly is it?
Yeah, so it is a company structure. It's registered at Companies House, but it's a partnership structure. So for us, it's about having the benefits of working together as a team, mutual benefit, strengthening that sense of team by sharing in profits, accommodating the self-employed nature, which is growing in hairdressing, but not taking it down the mercenary route of rent-a-chair, which a lot of the industry has fragmented into salons where people just come and go. People come and go, they do their own thing. There's no love lost between owners and operators. It's just a very transactional relationship, and that's not somewhere I wanted to go. I was very conscious of the atmosphere and culture that I wanted to have within the salon for everyone's benefit. And by having that LLP structure, there are responsibilities that the partners have to the rest of the partners, but they also have the benefits of being self-employed. So that's really where it works for everyone.
So a lot of the industry are self-employed, and so
Yeah.
a lot of them will be wondering how does it work when it comes to paying taxes and things like that in a partnership? What's different?
All of the partners, or they're called members of an LLP, are self-employed. And so you will have your own tax returns, and with our LLP, our partnership accountant helps you all with your tax returns.
Yeah.
And that's all private to you and him. So for us as an LLP, it's about getting all the benefits of self-employed status, but also all the benefits of being a strong team. And that's really what the partnership is about.
I think a lot of people will probably be interested in how the bonus sort of scheme works as well.
Yeah, so there are costs of running the business. There are basic profit shares of commissions that all of the partners will take. And then there will be profits left from the whole business. And those are then distributed to all the partners. So nothing's left in the business. Every year, which is a factor of all partnerships, all money is distributed. It's different to a company structure where a limited company can hold on to money for reserves. In a partnership, all money has to be distributed. So that's where the profits are shared out at the end of each year.
That's sort of that's business knowledge that if you were working in a rent-a-chair system, you just wouldn't be exposed to it.
No, I think for a lot of hairdressers it seems as something quite novel. For me, seeing hairdressing as a profession like many other professions, it seems like the absolute normal route to take. And I think it's underpinned our success for what's now 37 years in the salon, although as a LLP it's now 18 years.
Just from my perspective, I think the fact that you don't compare the salon to the rest of the industry, but you compare it to other industries, like surgery and accountants and lawyers, and
Yes.
and it's a sort of a mixture of all those different things put into it. I think that is one of the biggest contributors to the success of the salon. That you're working on a whole other level. It's the same industry, but you're not. There's no comparison to another salon. I mean, when you have meetings and stuff, you never compare us to other things. You'll compare us to like Claridge's or a surgeon or a big law firm or something like that. And I think the way you view that's probably from the way I see it, that's one of the reasons it's so successful.
Yeah, I think it's good for everyone to see, how the clients see us. Our clients aren't comparing us to a local high street salon where they'll charge 10% what we're charging. It's a completely different field. They're coming in for an experience where they expect a level of professionalism. They're more likely to compare with other professions that they're linked with, or in terms of hospitality, they're more likely to compare it to a visit to a high-end restaurant or hotel, or being in the first class or business compartment of an aeroplane. It's those connections that I want people to see and to make, and that we're competing for client spend. So you're not just competing with somewhere they can go closer to home, a high street salon charging 30, 40, 50 pounds for a haircut. You have to go to another level and put yourself in the client's shoes. You're competing for their spend, for their time and their spend, which they can take anywhere. It's not hairdresser to hairdresser. You're not competing with other hairdressers. No, I know there are loads of great salons out there that have these great teams of people where they've been with the salon owners a while, and salon owners might be looking for something, what's the next step? What makes this relationship deeper, stronger, more stable? And I think in those situations, the LLP would work very well for them. Because it does give people a sense of ownership, and that their contribution is recognised in more than just a thank you.
Without the risk of actually owning their own salon.
Without the risk, because business, it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier when you've got a strong team working together in the same direction. Business is tough, and I think especially now in service industries, with the government that we have, the levels of taxation are brutal. It's very, very difficult for salons to remain profitable and plan for the future, because the future for salons is with apprenticeships. The government's decided to make apprenticeship a very, very expensive path. And salons, a lot of salons I hear, are actually not going to work with apprentices anymore because the risks are too high, the expenses are too high. That doesn't bode well for the future.
Just very quickly, when we sort of compare ourselves, or don't compare ourselves, to high street salons, high street, it's not that we're insulting people who work or go to a high street salon. There's obviously a place for high street salons.
Yeah, and it's not the high street per se. It's more when I say that, I mean, we're only one street back from a high street. It's more the limited nature of the industry. Something that a lot of hairdressers talk to me is about, oh, why can't we charge more? Why can't we charge more? Well, what you charge is really about how the client values what you do. And you can't just put charges up without it checking in to be okay with them. And if you're not prepared to change anything, then you're going to struggle to put your prices up. But there's much, much more opportunity for the industry to charge more, because it has something that's very unique. It has a client relationship that very, very few other jobs, professions can have. The stylist client relationship is very deep and intimate, and can be. That affords hairdressing to take that client to higher levels of service, broader levels, and actually make that relationship much more rewarding. But it requires a lot of work from the hairdresser to actually step up. And unfortunately, what I see in a lot of industry is that they want to do what they want to do too much. And the clients are telling them that that's not necessarily what they want. And they're telling them in what they're prepared to pay, or the fact that they move around to other salons too easily. they're actually sending messages to those hairdressers that, that's not quite what I want. And too many hairdressers are taking that easy route. And it's not that the opportunity isn't there. People are prepared to pay much more if they get a level of service and attention that's up there. And it's not that they don't have the money, but they're not prepared to pay for something that they don't see as valuable to them. And I see it as a personal tragedy, well, not personal, a tragedy for the industry that the average haircut is 30 or 40 pounds in this country, when the level of skill that it requires or should require is much greater than that. Just actually spending that much time with a client. You think about other services on clients, what people are paying for other services. Those same people might be paying for, an osteopath or a personal trainer or a gas fitter or a car mechanic.
Yeah. Just where they want to spend their money.
Yeah. They'd be paying 80, 100, 250 pounds an hour to those people, and yet the hairdresser's only getting 30 or 40 pounds and struggling with that.
Maybe that's
why is that?
Maybe that's something to touch on. Is I think a lot of hairdressers are very self-conscious that their clients don't have the money or don't want to spend the money there, but that thought itself sort of holds you back, doesn't it?
But also don't want to spend it. The chances are they do have it because they're spending it in other ways.
Yeah.
Why do they not want to spend it with you? Is it something that you can look at, go a bit deeper and look at what is it that I could do to change this? Because the opportunity is there.
Yeah. I think they just have to view it, like we've said before, they have to view it as a real expert field.
Yeah,
they have to see
absolutely.
it not as just something that you just go to college, learn how to cut wet hair,
on a
put some
doll's
rollers
head.
in, tong it. It's like it's not that simple. There's way more to it. That's definitely part of what I think is holding people back.
Yeah. So I think that's put some other aspects of the industry to rights.
Yes.
Some may disagree with us.
Sure they will. Sure there'll be lots of
but
comments.
That's okay. It's a free country.
Exactly.
We can wrap up there and we will pick it up on another podcast.
Lovely.